Hello, One Piece chapter 1145 is here, and the color spread that is at the beginning of the chapter is so good. I don't usually talk about color spreads or cover stories because, you know, I want to get to the chapter, but I love this one. I love the joy on everyone's face to see Luffy on TV again now that the anime has started back up. I specifically love Luffy's face as he's just so overjoyed to see himself, like, that's me! And Chopper is really adorable there as well. And also I just appreciate that Zoro doesn't care. Anyway, this chapter starts off with defeating a dinosaur, and I'm never mad about having a dino in the chapter. And we end up stopping the dinosaur initially, or at least halting the dinosaur, with a shield that is sentient. So apparently, what's his name? Goldberg? I don't remember his name. I don't care. The one giant that's very difficult for my dyslexic brain to read the dialogue of, his father fought Big Mom, and now the shield is a homie, and we have a connection with Zeus as well. So we've had several clues that Big Mom might be coming back. I'm still very against this particular move because, you know, just let characters be dead. Big Mom got thrown into lava. Let it be. I know that she could have turned the lava into a homie, but we could just not. My patrons and I talked a little bit about potentially Big Mom's kids coming to Elbaf, and that being what Oda has been hinting at, which I would be far more happy with, personally. But I'm always happy to see Zoro and Sanji actually working together. I mean, I'm always happy to see them bickering and sniping at each other and constantly irritated with each other over the most minute of things. So I'm happy no matter what. I'm just happy to have these two together. But to see them actually teaming up without really needing a word exchanged, you know, Sanji can launch Zoro at the dino, chop his head off, poor lad. And there's even a minor compliment kind of tangled in there when Zoro later says, you know, it's mostly me. I issued the killing blow. I delivered the killing blow. And Sanji says, you should have been there. I've never seen such a graceful, soaring broccoli. It's like, well, that's almost a compliment. We're getting somewhere. They're really bonding. They're brothers. Anyway, the shield is really excited to potentially be able to see Zeus because of his status among the Big Mom giants, or rather among the homies. And it does seem that these two are going to have some sort of dialogue, some sort of connection. So I'm not really sure where Oda is leading us with all of that, but I mean, we'll see. So interestingly, Loki tells the Straw Hats that the Holy Knights are the ones that harmed him, which isn't completely surprising to me because the lad has 3 stab wounds right through his chest. So they're going to ask questions, and he doesn't have any kind feelings or loyalty or anything towards the Holy Knights. So it's unsurprising that he would just kind of say, oh, those despicable creatures, those are the ones that did it. I'm gonna get them back. You know, just kind of spitting out their names, especially because it's not like the Straw Hats and the other giants have any sort of loyalty to them. Like, this isn't a big reveal to anyone. Everyone knows that they're here, or they're going to find out soon enough if they don't know at this point. So it doesn't surprise me that he would say that, but I do like that he's withholding information on Shanks until Luffy fully fulfills his side of the bargain, which is, you know, to set Loki free. He says he really does actually know where Shanks is and that wasn't a bluff. So either he's bluffing or he really does know. And I wonder if Shanks, when he visited Loki, if he actually told him. Like, I wonder if Shanks actually told Loki where he was going to go, and Loki's just held on to that information. And maybe Shanks told him because he wanted Luffy to know. Luffy did sense him at the beginning of the arc. Luffy, as they were crossing the bridge, he said, I sense a really strong presence, and he went looking for Loki. So it is possible that Shanks kind of knew that somehow if Luffy made it to Elbaf, he would make it to Loki, and so Shanks just planted the seed of where he was going next for this purpose. I don't know. It might be a bit of a stretch. I also love this line here where Haruden, which apparently I've been saying wrong, the commenters have told me, so here's hoping this is correct. Haruden says, the Holy Knights, the humans from the world government, are the ones that beat you this badly? What'd you do to deserve it? This is on you. What did you do? He says you must have given them reason to seek revenge when you were rampaging beyond the sea. He's just like, what'd you do to deserve these 3 stab wounds in your chest? Anyway, Luffy is an amazing caretaker. A caretaker that anyone should be appreciative to have. He gives Loki food, he gives him soup, gives him a bath. I mean, you know, with boiling soup, but he cleans the lad up. It's probably been a long time since he's been washed. What a good caretaker he is. It's great. It's great because, you know, we get to see this back and forth with Loki and Luffy, where Luffy's trying to tend to him and he's a wee bit clumsy about it, I guess I could admit, and Loki is furious about it and just begging anyone else to take care of him instead. And Luffy's just like, sorry, I didn't mean to. And then Gert is over here like, no, you're doing great. Keep it up. Anyway, I've been talking about things kind of out of order. So Loki says, no, I'm serious. I actually do know where Shanks is. And he is surprised that Luffy really does care about Shanks that much. And he says, I suppose I understand how it feels to idolize a pirate you met when you were just a lad. And this is where we see that the pirate that he idolized was Rocks. Now, this is really interesting to me because, one, he's essentially saying that he still idolizes Rocks even now, which I feel could give us a lot of information here, because Luffy idolizes Shanks, and so much of Luffy's core values were learned from Shanks, right? Him not feeling a need to always leap straight into defense or action, his willingness to talk things through first, but if someone that he cares about is in danger, then he'll step up and he'll escalate things very, very quickly. Luffy's attachment to the straw hat, so many things are connected directly to Shanks that have shaped Luffy, and I think that we can assume that there might be some level of that that's true for Loki as well. For instance, why was Rocks here? Why did he show up on Elbaf? He said, I didn't come here to meet a whelp like you. Stop making me repeat myself. So Loki was clearly badgering him about it. But also, why were you here? If you didn't come here to meet a whelp like him, what did you come here for? And is it something that Loki himself decided was a treasure to him too, valuable to him too? Was it something that his dad had? Does this tie into the conflict with his dad in the first place? Does it have to do with the devil fruit? Does it have to do with his hammer? Does it have to do with something that we haven't seen just yet? I wonder how much of Loki's actions, his moral compass, and if there's a particular item or object that is tied to Rocks as well. We do see that Loki is very brutal if he needs to be in order to get what he wants. Like, for instance, he's tied up, he wants to threaten everyone and show, I mean business, I'm strong, fine, I'll strike fire to the tree. I don't care if this could potentially put all of Elbaf at risk, I need a Hail Mary. Well, we see Rocks is pretty quick to action and pretty quick to do what he needs to do in order to get by an obstacle, like a kid saying, fight me then, fight me so that I can prove to you that I'm worthy. And then the next panel is the kid having been fought. So maybe some of Loki's quick action and brutality comes from the person that he idolizes as well. I also really like the little snippet of Pops that we get here too. You don't have to use a blade on a kid. I love this because we know how much Pops cares about kids. We know how much Pops is one that would take children in. Anyone that needs him, okay, you're a part of my family. And we have a little bit of a different picture from Rocks. But Loki still seems to really have this hanging over him because it's what he's thinking about when he thinks about idolizing a pirate. But he also says, I was born in the wrong era, which at least I took to mean that it was because he was too young. If he had been a little bit older, then maybe he could have joined the one that he wanted to, which of course looks a lot like Luffy's story, looks a lot like Colin's story, looks a lot like, I was gonna say a third one, but I can't think of anyone else. Who else? I had someone else on my mind. We'll never know. Anyway, we also see more of the nightmares and we see that there are multiples. We have duplicates. So that's cool. The nightmares we've been able to take them down in the previous chapter relatively easily, or maybe that's a little bit too reductive, but you know, it's not this huge feat. It's not this incredible hurdle. It's something that they can realistically manage, even though it takes effort. So to see that they can keep on going, that it's not just one per child, amps up the threat a little bit, but it still feels like this isn't going to be the major threat of the story. And since in this chapter we also put out the fire, it seems like this is just the preliminary obstacle, and we still haven't even we still haven't even been introduced to what the real conflict of the story is. At least that's the impression that I'm getting at this point. Scott Gabon is still here. We haven't actually, I mean, he did attack one of the nightmares, but we haven't actually seen him do anything huge yet. But since Colin is at risk at the end of this chapter, I imagine we will, especially since Scopper can hear the three abnormal voices. They can try to hide, but I still feel them. So he is going to go looking for the Holy Knights. And one of them is on Colin's ship talking about stealing another child. So I have a feeling he's gonna come to his kid's rescue. But before that, we have the fire, we have the firefighters that are, or the firefighting team that are trying to put out the fire. It's not going well. Saul has taken down one of the nightmares on his own. He's tried to lasso these children, but he can't stop them without hurting them, and he's calling for them to do anything in their power. You know, you can really feel the desperation off of him. I will admit that I'm a little bit disappointed that Robin didn't participate in all of this. We were talking about ways that she could participate in my live stream on my Patreon, and one of my patrons pointed out that she could sprout arms up and just bind their legs. You know, she doesn't have to actually touch the thorns. I don't know how we see, when we can see the thorns, we see that they're wrapped around, but there are gaps. So she might get cut. She might hurt herself, but Saul's hurt himself plenty trying to protect these children. So like some cuts I think that she would be willing to do to protect children. So I don't know. I would have at least liked to see her try to just like hold their legs, grab, you know, sprout out here, grab these legs, sprout out here, grab these legs, sprout out here, grab these legs. You know, she has an infinite number of arms that she could grab them, that she could bind their legs individually so they're not running into each other like they were when Saul was putting up a shield and they were running into each other. I don't know. I just would have loved to see more creativity in how they were trying to stop the kids. Saul's doing great. Saul is giving his all. And admittedly, Robin might have just been trusting in Saul to take care of the kids, but I would have loved to see her stand up for them too. These lines are absolutely bonkers though. When Gunko says, they'll wake up from the heat, wail, this is about the kids, obviously, when they go into the fire. They'll wake up from the heat, wail and cry for their parents, and be consumed by the flames and burned into bones, I assume. And then Summers is just cackling. He thinks it's hilarious. He thinks it's wonderful. I gotta say, I have been waiting for Gunko. I still think that it is very possible that she's going to turn on the rest of the Holy Knights. There's enough mystery around her. She was introduced differently. She's into Brooke's music. There's enough here that makes, oh, her greatest fear is Sun God Nika. There's enough here that there's a lot of intrigue around her that makes me think there might be more to her than just another Holy Knight. Like, she's gonna play a bigger role. But she looks brutal in this chapter. Like, she looks like she doesn't care. Which, it might be a facade. It might be a change of heart that we're gonna see from her. But she looks brutal. Anyway, Jinbei, shoulder throw, takes care of the fire all on his own. Love to see him actually doing stuff, because Jinbei is oftentimes a straw hat that doesn't get as much spotlight. So always happy to see him. And then Gunko arrives on Colin's ship, which is super cool that she can actually unravel herself and then re-ravel herself in a new location. Her devil fruit is so awesome. I also really love this panel of Robin and Chopper celebrating after the fire goes out. It's really sweet how they were holding each other and they're just happy that it's over. Except for the kids are still, you know, walking to their doom, but at least they're not going to be burned to death on the way. Anyway, Colin still loves his classmates even though they don't love him, and he still wants to see them protected, which is good. I mean, I too, if someone bullies me, picks on me, is rude to me, ostracizes me, it doesn't make me like them necessarily, but I don't want to see them burned alive. So it's good that he doesn't want that. No, he actually really likes them and he wanted them to be safe. He said, I think of them as my friends, which is sweet. So anyway, Gunko arrives and her line is, so I suppose the school isn't the only place to find a perky child. What a line you've chosen, Gunko. Anyway, she's here, assumedly to abduct another child. So the question is, when she goes after Colin, does she spot Brooke and say, ah, Soul King, I knew you were gonna be here. I know that you're part of the Straw Hats. I knew that you were on this island somewhere, but would you sign my panties? Can I have your autograph? She would ask him, is she going to fangirl, or does she actually not care and we're all reading too much into her liking his music? I don't think so. I think I would have put it there on purpose. But I also think that Scott Burgaban, once she does decide to abduct Colin, will show up and fight her, and we'll see some pretty cool action. I hope so. These last several chapters have all been interesting. They've all delivered information that we need for what's to come, but it has been quite a few chapters of putting pieces into play, setting things up, slowly progressing some of the tension, which is all good, and I've enjoyed each of these chapters, but I am looking forward to what's next. Anyway, what do you think about the chapter? I think probably my favorite thing right now is the fact that I don't know the motivations or the direction of either Loki or Gunko. I think that both could potentially be on our side, especially Loki, I think could potentially be, I serve whoever is serving me right now, whatever is most convenient for me and my goals, that's who I'm loyal to for the moment. I could see that from Loki, but I think that both of these characters are ambiguous enough at this point that really anything could happen, and I like that a lot. Anyway, that's the chapter. Please do chat with me more in the comments. I'll see you again soon. Bye.